Josh here? Sorry. Josh here? Shelley is missing and Tina is missing. Okay. Maybe Josh will come. All right. Attest to publication.
I saw it posted.
Thank you, Joni. I ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Lori, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Lisa will share the district mission, vision, and values on the Board of Education collective commitment.
Mission, Bangor Pride, a small school building big futures. Vision, an innovative small school creating excellence through personalized learning and relationships for all. Values, student-centered, small class sizes, continuous improvement, professionalism, opportunities for all, safety, foster community, and sustainability. The Board of Education collective commitments. As a member of the Bangor School Board, I will be an active listener who is open-minded, respectful, and inquisitive. Together with one collective voice, we are committed to forward thinking while strategically prioritizing for our students, staff, and community now and into the future.
Thank you, Lisa. Public comment. We have the FFA and the FCCLA here tonight.
NHD and FCCLA.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
National History Day and FCCLA. They had students had some awesome trips this summer that they would like to share some of their experiences with the board.
So National History Day, members of National History Day or participants of National History Day, and the FCCLA.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Bauerter, so I'm the social studies teacher here at the high school, and one thing that we do with our freshmen and sophomores every year is the National History Day project. So we had a few of our students qualify for the national contest this last year in June, and we got to travel all the way out to the University of Maryland, so right by Washington, D.C. I wanted to mention, first of all, that this contest is not just one thing. First of all, they do the whole project for a semester, and then we have a local contest in January. And then they go to the regional contest if they make it past that local one. That's at UWL. And then if they do well there, they move on to the state contest, and then if they do well, they move to the national contest. So it's an incredible feat to make it to the national contest because I've only had a few actually ever qualify for that. So it's a huge, huge deal, and I've been doing this for a while. So an incredible feat to make it there. So these are a couple of pictures we have of the Wisconsin group. So this is the whole group. In that picture there is Autumn Holter and Carson Silla and Brandon Gady in both of them. And the picture on the left is when we got there, and the picture on the right is later on. I think that was right before the closing ceremonies. And this is, so the picture on the left shows them at their interview. So for the contest itself, they do have some different activities throughout the course of the week because it's a whole week-long thing. And at the beginning, there's opening ceremonies where all of the states really get to cheer and they get to trade pins. You can see on the picture at the bottom there, they have all these pins and everything. So they collected as many as they could from a bunch of different states. And then they have a different day throughout the week where they go in for their interviews. So that's the picture on the left, showing them all dressed up for their interviews. And they go in, they talk to the judges, and if you guys want to talk about that a little bit, you can. Then they have some other opportunities, like there's a dance for them to go to. While they're at the dance, I got to go socialize with other teachers, so that was fun. And then we had closing ceremonies next.
So this is a picture of us at the closing ceremony, and this is all the states out on the court of the Xfinity Center. And we all made signs when we were doing our chants and stuff, but it was kind of just watching all the states walk around. It was like our little parade. And then the picture on the left is Brandon and I holding our plaque awards. So the large paper is kind of just like a certificate of achievement for making it to nationals. And then the little ribbon is for using a source called Chronicling America. And we won an award for them for using the source.
It was not only just a competition, but we also went sightseeing. In the top left, we were at the Spy Museum. In the top right, we were at the Smithsonian Air and Space. In the bottom left, we were at the Washington Monument. And the bottom right, also the Air and Space. I thought it was super neat to go see all those things and learn a lot at the different museums while we were competing.
Congratulations, and thank you for representing Bangor so well.
Advancing to the national level is something to be very proud of. And thanks for coming tonight. All right. FCCLA?
Okay. So hi, I'm Miss Hooker, Sadie Hooker. I teach Family Consumer Sciences here, which I'm sure you all know. But I'm also the FCCLA advisor, and FCCLA stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. So it's the career and technical student organization that's associated with Family Consumer Sciences. So very similar to FFA, if obviously a lot of people know what FFA is too. So this summer, we also had a really awesome trip going to our national conference. And very similarly to National History Day, these students, they'll compete at regionals, which is in February at Western Technical College. And then if they qualify high enough, they get to go to state, which is in April at the Kalahari Resort. And then they have to be one of the top 2 scores in their entire category in order to make it to nationals. So there's about 40 different categories that students can compete in that have something to do with child development or housing or cooking or any sort of family consumer sciences related topic. So Jeremiah, do you want to tell us about what your project was?
Oh, yeah, I suppose. So I did a speech on mental health. It was called professional presentation was the category. So you had to have a speech within 10 minutes, and there were a lot of people in that category. That was one of the one of the bigger ones, but yeah, that's.
And then we had Alexa Heitkamp, which competed in event management. So she had to go through the whole process of planning this whole big party or some sort of event, as if she was going to actually put it on, but she didn't actually have to put it on. And ironically, she did her project about an FFA event, even though it was for FCCLA. So she got a little bit of lashback from some of the judges because of that. But so we started our journey on actually July 1st. We took a school van up to Minneapolis so that way we could stay over, and had a 6 a.m. flight. And our third participant was Risa Wiggins, who this year she applied and was elected to a state position on the Wisconsin FCCLA state board. So she was a state officer and got to walk across the big stage at some of our big general sessions and stuff. So we had a flight early morning, got all the way to Colorado, into Denver. And then immediately we had to check into our hotel and change into our official dress. I had sewn some cow print bucket hats for us to all wear to be like, oh, we're from Wisconsin. So it's super recognizable and fun. So we got a lot of compliments on our bucket hats. And then later that evening, like I said before, Risa, as a state officer, she was one of a few students who got to lead our Wisconsin meeting and do some cheers and some fun things in front of our whole state. I think Wisconsin sent about 120-ish people, so she got to be in front of all of those people.
I just wanted to comment on the bucket hats. So it was really cool. So not only did we have hats, we did pin trading as well. So all the states would trade pins. And so yeah, we just got to show everyone Bangor. They'd be like, what is Bangor? Where is that? So we would let them know who we are and where we're from. And then Miss Hooker, traded one of the bucket hats for a necklace from a guy in Hawaii. So now there's a piece of Bangor, I don't know what it's called. So there's a piece of Bangor in Hawaii as well, which is really neat. I guess I'll cover this slide too. So at the conference, there were a lot of different booths that we got to go around at the different places. I'm assuming that's what hub means. Yeah. Okay. And then there were Red Talks as well, which is basically a TED Talk, but it's FCS related. And then there were just a lot of sessions as well. The general session had a ton of great speakers and events. And Alexa competed on the third right away, and she did a very good job.
So on the 4th, because it was a national holiday, FCCLA decided to not schedule too many events for all of us to do, so that way we kind of had a free day to explore the city. So we went to Red Rock Amphitheater, and we got to go do some hiking in the Rocky Mountains, which is really cool, except somebody's advisor was not very well prepared and did the whole thing in Converse, which was not a great idea. But otherwise, later in the day, we had some dinner, watched fireworks. Our hotel was across the street from the Capitol, actually, so we got to watch fireworks over the Capitol. And we did some swimming in a rooftop pool. And we've made lots of friends from a lot of other Wisconsin chapters. So there's on the bottom right a picture of some of the other individuals from other chapters that we got to hang out with and go shopping with and stuff.
Yeah, that's so after that one. This is a fun day. So we did a tour of the Denver Mint, which was really fun, and then we went to a milkshake bar. And then there's also the fashion show. So individuals would they would make their own attire and wear it. So that was really nice. And we had that huge general session that day. And fun fact, at the end of the closing ceremony, we're actually on the highlight reel video that literally thousands of people saw. So that was really neat.
We did forget to put on this slide that Jeremiah competed on this day as well. And last but not least, this is our last full day in Denver. We did a tour of the Denver Capitol right away in the morning. And you can't really see it, but on the staircase, it says 1 mile above sea level. So we got to take a picture at exactly 1 mile above sea level right in front of the Capitol. And then we just had the award ceremony. So Jeremiah and Alexa both received silver for their efforts, which one of them was pretty excited because they thought they were going to score lower than that, and the other was disappointed because they thought they were going to score higher than that. So we're met right in the middle. And then at the very end of the day, we got to go to an FCCLA after party, so they didn't have to wear their official dress, just got to hang out, meet a bunch of people, eat food, dance, do the whole big thing. Jeremiah's wearing the same outfit.
No, I'm good.
And then the next day, we just had our flight in the morning. We came back home, and that was about it. So thank you so much for listening to us.
Congratulations to all of you, and thanks for coming tonight. Thank you. Any other public comment?
No, thank you for letting them jump in at that point in time.
Of course. All right, approval of minutes from September 13th, regular board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of, let's see.
September 13th.
Thank you. I'm way out of sorts here.
Second.
Motion by Joni, seconded by Kelly to approve the September 13th regular board meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Student report.
All right, it's me again. You welcome me back, so that's good.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, a lot has been happening since the last time we were here. So the regular seasons for fall sports are winding down. There are a lot of things coming up regarding those. So cross country has conference on Saturday at Castion. The boys race at 10, and then the girls at 10:45. We've had a really great season, so it'll be nice to have one more race for the seniors and hopefully get some PRs as well. And then the last game for football will be Friday night of the regular season. They've done very well as well. And then volleyball, they had the Sunshine on the Trail cancer awareness fundraiser. That had a pretty good turnout. I've been seeing a lot of things online, especially for shirt orders and things like that. And then I spoke to Cheer today. I saw them making a fun little promotional video outside of the building. So they've just been doing a good job of increasing spirit morale, as always. And then for the music department, the musical is November 9th, 11th, and 12th. Just as a reminder, there have been a ton of practices going on. And I've gotten a little sneak peek, so it should be a good show for you guys. Next Wednesday is the blood drive as well. So we are looking for people to donate there as well. And then the homecoming dance that happened since the last time we met, also a very good turnout, and we had a lot of good reviews just from homecoming week as a whole, and we're hoping to continue that spirit and that fun throughout the year this year. And then there are some more things starting to pick up now that we're kind of dropping off some things. So forensics just had a meeting the other day, and I think Acadec will also be picking up shortly. And then tomorrow and Friday, we have parent-teacher conferences. And so hopefully those go well. And then FFA had the World Dairy Expo. And we also had a picnic. FCCLA and FFA had a combined picnic in town. A great turnout there as well. So parents and community members can learn more about our organizations. And then we're also pairing up to do Socktober, which is a sock sale that we're doing around the school. We've made a little over $600 for in-person sales, which is crazy, and then $200 online. So $800 combined, split between the two organizations, and we've still got a long ways to go there. And it's just fun seeing people in fun socks. Like someone was in a ducky sock the other day, so I thought that was funny. So I think that covers it. So.
Thank you very much. So on to board members' report. The state convention is January 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's held in Milwaukee, the annual school board convention. If anyone is interested, let David know as soon as you know, so he can make arrangements get people registered and make arrangements with hotel rooms. Another reminder, our budget hearing and annual meeting is Wednesday, October 25th. We will start at 6:30 in the middle high school cafetorium. Committee reports.
I just would update there. B&G, I'm working with them, communicating, trying to get a time to kind of talk through about next level projects and stuff, and then hopefully come back to you at the next board meeting with some information that we talked about. So right now, I think considering meeting after the annual meeting with that group, I think that might work. And I meet with our Neola rep on next Tuesday for the first round of policy for this year. So I'll be reaching out to the PRC shortly to set up and schedule a meeting. And maybe before you leave today, we could look at calendars versus trying to do an email change would be great. So those two committees will be meeting soon.
Thank you. District financials. Financial documents, which was in our board docs.
Yeah, the only question I had there was a great one from Joni on the expense for the audit is in there, but you guys haven't seen the audit yet, and that is true. I have not fully reviewed it yet, so Angie and I will talk about this week, and we'll get that on next month's agenda for you guys to see the audit as well. Other than that, we'd look for consent or look for approval of the financials as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Joni to approve the financial documents, financial reports. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. District reports, homeless grant award.
Yeah, I asked Kelly to join us. She has taken over as the homeless liaison for the district, assigned by the district. And in doing so last year, she learned about a grant opportunity and successfully wrote that. So I asked her to kind of share a little bit about what that means for the district. And thank you for being here, Kelly.
Thanks for having me. I'm Kelly Peterson, Family Connections Coordinator. And this is just my second year with the school district, but it's been, I'll just start by saying, a really nice change. And I have no regrets about coming and working here in Bangor, so it's been a really nice fit. But being a homeless liaison was new to me as I came into this role, so there was a lot to learn, and I think there's really still a lot for me to learn. And Dr. Braca invited me to share a bit about this Education for Homeless Children and Youth Compliance Grant, which is a mouthful. And then if you can just switch to the next slide. I think to appreciate what the intent of the grant is, though, people need to know that there is this McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act. And so really what that surrounds is identifying children and families who are in transition and who have experienced homelessness, and then making sure that we're removing barriers so that they have the same educational opportunities that their peers do. And so knowing that that's a requirement of public school districts to identify those needs and then meet the needs, that's really what this grant is designed to do. And so a piece of this grant will be us taking a look at our systems and procedures to make sure that we are in compliance with that act. And then it will also help us to boost the support that we're giving families. Really, in learning a bit more about the grant and kind of why it exists, the main priority from the state level is taking a look at state and national data that really says that we're under identifying families who are in transition or who have experienced homelessness. And so I think that was also key in the proposal that I put together for the grant, in knowing that we're right along the same lines as the state and national data, and so it would be a need for us as well. Yeah. So then just thinking about what the goals would be within this grant work, I had mentioned that we would take a look at our policies and make any revisions that we might need to make. Another big piece of this is really just building staff awareness of student needs and knowing some of the signs or indicators that there may be a student that's experiencing homelessness. And so part of this will be pulling together local training materials and building that awareness for staff and providing some professional development opportunities. And then finally, a big piece of this will be connecting with different stakeholders that we have in our community and then also the surrounding communities to just make sure that we're improving pathways when families do need these resources. And so in my mind, thinking about this grant, I really see it benefiting more than just families who are experiencing homelessness, because as part of this, we'll really be pulling together different resources that are accessible to families within the Bangor School District. And that's going to be more than just families who have experienced homelessness. So a bit about the grant award then. The full grant award is $30,000, and it's $15,000 per year for this school year and into the next school year. And some of the funds can be carried into that second year if needed. And then there are some pretty specific allowable activities for which you can spend the funding. But just to give you kind of an idea of what we're anticipating some of the funds will go to, like I had mentioned, building that awareness, so putting together some materials and professional development for staff that can be funded through this grant. Also, some additional time to really map out what resources exist near us, and then putting together resources that can, be easily used by families to access those as well. Student transportation is another piece of this act, and so when a student experiences homelessness, we are required to make it accessible for them to continue to attend the school of origin, so the school that they were originally attending. And so part of that comes into play with school transportation. And so this grant can fund some of that transportation, which is a nice benefit to our school district. And then also the ability to purchase supplies or clothing, pay any dues or fees that would be associated with school can also be a need that's met through this grant. I think it historically has been awarded to much larger school districts, And so I think it's really exciting that Bangor is going to have an opportunity to benefit from this grant, because that amount of money can go a really long way in supporting families in Bangor. So I was pleasantly surprised to hear that it was awarded. Do you guys have any questions for me at all about the grant?
I don't have any questions. I was, so excited when I read it, but saddened at the same time, because it's like, the fact that there is need for it is kind of alarming. Sometimes we need to make ourselves more aware of that. So I commend you for doing that.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson, for taking the time to write the grant, and congratulations to you and our entire school district for receiving it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kelly. Great work.
Thanks for coming tonight, too. All right, facility project updates.
Well, we just took a tour, so there's a whole lot of updates that occurred in that. This particular, the update in the board documents has some pretty specific things as far as completion levels of things in the context or in the text there, but then also a number of pictures of the progress. One of the things worth noting, multiple things worth noting, is looking at that milestone schedule. So one of the things that I've really asked them to nail down for me, and you can see highlighted on that milestone schedule. I'm not sure what page it is in your booklet. If somebody can shout that out. But the old school gym, or Bangor Activity Center, as we will be referring to it, that timeline is kind of the question left. We know kind of how things are going to get rolling here at the middle school, high school, and we've seen ground broken here, but the activity center is really a question. So you can see the design completion dates. We're looking at rolling up on that on November 17th. The bid openings, so that when it would be available for contractors to start bidding, will come shortly thereafter that, or I apologize. So then the opening of the bids, January 4th. Part of that is they want to get us into the new year. They can sometimes run into some lulls in contractors submitting good quality bids between the holidays. So getting us into January before those are due, first part of the year, we hope that we can make sure that we've got good quality bids for that building. Board review, January 10th board meeting. We'll do one of those meetings beforehand, just like we have for the last two. Contractor mobilization in February, and they will get working on that building interior in February is what they're anticipating. And then basically as soon as the frost breaks, they'd be able to break ground and begin the addition work there. Substantial completion, you're going to see October 1st. So they are anticipating giving themselves a little time to get into the following school year with that building, which we can accommodate and make happen. So a little bit later, but that will still be in time for our musical to get up onto the new stage, and that new that fall performance next year will be in the new facility, or the renovated facility, with punch listing and computer commissioning coming later in October. So it gives you an idea of what it's looking at. I know there's been a lot of questions in the community when the next steps are. Tomorrow morning we do have a design meeting. It's the first one we've had in a month on that building. As soon as I get some drawings and stuff from that, I'll get those out to the board so you can see where we're at on that. And then we'll definitely be able to talk about that at next month's board meeting. Make sure that everything is on track and everybody's feeling good about where we are, and then get rolling towards that project completion as well. So that's a substantial one that I wanted to share. Again, the progress is fast and furious, and then hurry up and wait with rain's coming, so that affects schedules. And it seems we've talked about it multiple times. There's a lot of this is going to start happening this day, but then it gets pushed back a day. And we're dealing with all of that. Our staff has been incredible. Our families have been incredible. And I just continue to say to the community, be patient with us as we get through that, because there's going to be more of that. We will have some closures of the main drag going through here that people won't be able to go through. And I know that'll cause some inconveniences. We'll try to limit them as much as we can. But obviously at the end of all these projects, it's going to be an outstanding project for our community to enjoy. Any questions or anything on facilities?
I have one quick question. So you said February is when the old school construction will start?
Correct.
So does that mean that facility will be unusable for an amount of time, or how does that?
No, it will. They will get in and they'll start doing some of the auxiliary things. They will not start substantial work until baseball and softball are outside. So they're going to get in, start doing some of the electrical, some of the front entry, the mechanical type pieces that they have to do. But our intention is to have it functional through the time that baseball and softball will need it in the spring. Is that what you were curious about by any chance?
Well, I mean, it's February. I mean, baseball, softball, you got all the middle school, you got all the Great Northwest, it's a super busy time for that gym. And I just didn't know if it was going to be off limits during that whole time, or.
I think the majority of the gym space itself, that work is going to happen during the summer when it's not nearly as heavily used. Yep.
David, just a clarification on the punch list and commissioning. That's 2024, right? Not 2025, which is listed on here?
Yeah, you are correct.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
Thank you. I think they'll all want to be out of here by then. Yep. All right, if there's no further questions, can I just go right to the next item? Yeah, all right. So I wanted to provide you a little update. There is a document, probably the next page in your book on the third Friday count. So this is substantial to us for our funding. Last year, our October meeting, I shared the third Friday count. I shared the mill rate, all those types of things. We don't get our final numbers from the state until the 15th. So that's this weekend. They say that we should have them Friday. I don't know when exactly we'll have them, but obviously this is one of those final pieces of figuring out the total revenue limit worksheet. So you can see on here the head count number of students in our seats this year on the third Friday count. It has changed since then because it's always changing, but is 641 students this year, up from 637 last year. The FTEs, which this is that calculation that calculates students who are open enrolled differently than students that are open enrolled in and out, and all of those things count differently on the FTE count. So on third Friday in our schools for K through 12, we were 613 FTE. Not on this sheet. Our summer school numbers were 5 FTEs this year, up from 4 last year. So we do expect some increase there. That increase that plays into the 3-year average. So if you're looking at that total enrollment versus FTE slide, that FTE number 21 of 635 is still helping us. We're not to that number. Next year, our 3-year average will drop. Unless we have something absolutely crazy happen. So we're preparing for that, just anticipating that. That won't be a surprise when you look at that 3-year average then. But this year, our 3-year average still goes up by 7 FTEs on this sheet at $11,000 per FTE, $77,000 additional based on the enrollment part of our authority to levy. The back page is the residents versus non-residents, which is always a question on basically our open enrollments in and outs. So the non-residents is the green line there of open enrollments in is 132, down 2 from the 134 last year. And the residence additions, which is open enrollment out, tuition waivers, the 660301s, WTC, those types of things, is up 2 from last year, so from 118 to 120. Basically, what that tells us with 2 up, 2 down, we're not anticipating a real difference for any type of funding for next year, and how that all works out. So just kind of see those trends still trending still in the area where we want to be, with more students coming in than leaving the district. So that's a positive for us there. So just kind of a breakdown of what we saw on Third Friday. Again, those numbers change, but those are the numbers that our financials are based off of for the year. So any questions on Third Friday count? All right, I'll keep rolling then. ESSER 3 spending breakdown. This is right on your page. It's not an attachment. So we've talked about the ESSER 3 for a long time, and we've talked about having some flexibility with ESSER 3 and how we should allocate it. We've talked about that 20% has to what's allowable. So what were the allowable expenses compared to the purchases that we knew we needed to make right now, and we figured out this list of purchases that was approved, so we can purchase from this list, get reimbursed as we go. You'll see the buses on there that we purchased this year. I actually have been able to get reimbursed back for those already. Camera systems, which is going to come up here in another item or two for approval for the district. The digital piano we talked about last month. The weight room we talked about a few months ago, using ESSER dollars for that. The interactive displays we've talked about. We need 10 more for those 10 new classrooms that we walked through tonight. We can get reimbursed for those out of ESSER. Network switches, the kind of the backbone of what keeps everything functioning in our digital world, is a good expenditure for ESSER 3. So that is approved, and that will have all of our network switches district-wide be updated and put us in a great place functioning that way. And then one of the other things that we looked at was just the elementary furniture. There was a real easy tie to that. So we will use those dollars first for the elementary furniture purchases, and that's one of the action items tonight, kind of the first round of purchasing for that. So it gives us some flexibility. Some of those things are things that we were already planning on purchasing. We're just figuring out ways to get reimbursed that way. Again, this has been approved. You are approving each of the purchases individually, and I've shared with you anytime I've said, with the pianos, with the the weight equipment, I've said we are doing this with ESSER dollars. So I'll continue to remind you with those types of things, but I just wanted to show you what has been approved for spend out by the September 24 deadline. Any questions on the ESSER 3?
Keep going.
Okay. School and community organizations chart. So these last two of this, it could be a little bit more of a conversation. I would say for all 3 years that I've been here, we have continued to be asked questions, or I have been continued to ask questions about how we support different community organizations, school-based organizations, and how do they use facilities? What do we charge for use of facilities? How do we support their fundraising? Can we put things online? Can we do this, that? Can they use our logo? Can they not use our logo? What do they have to do to use our logo? Should there be a charge? Raffle licenses is something that pops up. Handling of just accounting for funds, all of those types of things become a question. So this is something that we started. We honestly, I think we started this 2 years ago, and just kind of starting to organize our thoughts of how do we organize these groups and define what they are. And I think as we approach having newly renovated facilities and really wanting to kind of control and manage who's in the facilities and when and all those types of things, it's important that we have these conversations. So this is not an action item, it's a discussion. What I am looking for is, are there things that we've missed here? Have we mislabeled some of these groups? Are there things that you believe or would like me to look into more as far as what we're changing? So basically, this first function is school function, and we're defining that, and you can see through the organizations, those are school related. They have school activity counts, accounts that is our staff. They're on our advisor schedule, right? So on the Schedule C, they're being paid by the district to help organize those events. Those are the events. The School Connected are those organizations that really help us continue to do what we do in many ways. So the Bangor Elementary PTO, the Music Backers, Sports Boosters, FFA alumni, they are not school organizations. They run outside of the school. We want to support them. It's a mutual thing, but there has to be some lines drawn as far as what school and what's not. Community with our kids. So organizations that have our students, our Bangor students in them, and how they use our facilities, what they have as far as advertising. Can we send out a flyer to every third grader? Those types of things. We need to define what it is we can do and how we advertise for events and those types of things. Community, we have some amazing community organizations in this community that we want to continue to support and that we want to continue to work with and allow to use our facilities. We just want to define what the requirements are for using the facilities there. And again, great list of employee or of groups there from our community. If there's some that we missed, we can add them. But are those areas things that you believe that we should apply to all of those community groups? Then I think we go to for-profit is how we looked at it, as somebody that's truly just using our facility to make a profit, and how do we view those types of things. I started talking about, if we're going to approve a for-profit, there probably needs to be a contract that's board approved, that there's an understanding of what is the fee, what is the structure. For example, you guys see, we've talked about the contracts for Stein and Peace of Mind and Amanda Falkers. So they are making profit by being on our facility, but they're benefiting our students and our families immensely. There's a reason there. So we have an agreement. We have a contract in place that explains how that works. So I think that makes sense. And those types of groups fall into that area. And then personal use and practice, I think when it comes down to it, the use of our facilities for personal use, for somebody to be able to come in and shoot around with their family or whatever it may be, we need to discourage that unless there's going to be some type of fee or contract or something to that effect. That's what I have. That's what we have brainstormed as an admin team. Again, this is not for action tonight. I would just really love to have a little discussion. Let me know how you're feeling about this, and if you want me to continue down this path for something that we would approve kind of as our policy for how we work with outside organizations and school organizations.
Can you explain the insurance coverage? Does that mean these groups coming in have to have their own, or that's?
that is one of the things I talked about with all of the conference superintendents when we met last, is that each of those like organizations that's coming in and using facilities for those types of things, they all require them to have a $1 million liability coverage.
So do you think our small Boy Scout or Girl Scout group would be able to do that? I mean,
Yeah, like Great Northwest basketball, I don't think those teams are going to be able to afford something like that.
I can't imagine any 4-H group, not in La Crosse County anyway.
None of them have a liability coverage.
I would be shocked if they did. I mean, you're talking just,
Are they
mom-
covered by being members of the organization?
That I can't speak to that. But when my kids were, I just can't imagine that these mom and pop 4-H
I would
groups-
think that the county 4-H would have something that might cover all of the groups. I mean,
And then they're
like they're
members of the
working
county
with
4-H.
hot food in the 4-H food tent at the fair. There has to be something. I don't know if it's $1 million worth of coverage, but I would think that they'd have to have some type of.
Yeah, I would think they would have something. I guess that would be something we could maybe have somebody that's on that specific list check into. I mean, I understand like the question about Great Northwest. I mean, those are usually parents and that kind of thing. But I also think from a district perspective, if there's someone that gets hurt in this facility, the district should not be responsible for that during a tournament. If we have no involvement in it. So I don't know if the $1 million is the amount. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's
Or a waiver,
personal
like a
coverage or a waiver or
Releasing responsibility.
I don't know. I'm just
I don't think the merrymakers are going to have $1 million.
well, and I think of the Merrymakers. I don't think the Merrymakers have ever had anything here. Have
But
they?
I mean, I agree. If a Great Northwest or whatever it may be, they are totally outside of the school, and yes, they have a tournament here. I mean, there's people bustling every which way.
Right.
It really shouldn't be the school's. It's not the school's liability, but whether or not you can get anybody to tell you that they got an insurance policy would be the next thing.
I guess I want to just reassure. My goal here is not to limit or make it impossible for somebody to be here. I want to work with every one of these organizations that we've worked with for years, but that number is there for the district's protection, which is why, and that's where I got it. Now I can get a different number, or I can see what the number like Bob would recommend or something on that. I have not gone to him on what he feels we should have in place. I've had multiple conversations with him about waivers. And
he doesn't like them, I'm sure.
He does not like waivers because
Most lawyers don't.
It really doesn't do anything. It's kind of a worthless piece of paper. So having something, especially again, if you're running a weekend tournament or something like that, should there be some type of liability? Because quite frankly, it doesn't fall under the district at that point in time because it's not a district event. We have none of our district staff. Well, we do, but they're parents, right?
Right.
They're not there in their district capacity running that tournament.
I think we really have to look at this because I think we would really make a lot of taxpayers angry if they have to spend a ton of money and aren't able to use our facility because that's something a stipulation that we have. Maybe the Great Northwest as a whole has some sort of insurance policy, or the Boy Scouts or 4-H.
Yeah.
I just don't know, but there's a lot of people that use this facility that are going to be really upset if they're not able to.
Yeah, I will say, as an elementary PTO or PTA, that was $300 a year to have a policy like that for that organization for their events or whatever it may be. So it's.
I'm sure awareness is half the battle.
Right.
I mean,
What'd you say, Joni?
I said I'm sure awareness of
Right.
the need for it is half the battle.
So there's definitely questions on the insurance coverage. Part of the concept on the facility use would be creating some windows of time where we would sign up basically in seasons, and there would be a sign up window that you put in what you would like, how much time you would have, and then we would use the priorities that are in that list there, and we would sit down and we would create a balance of that versus first come, first serve at the beginning of the year. I'd like this gym for this many days all year for this, this time. And then it's locked and there's no flexibility with that. So by doing it by season, the coaches get their priorities, get their time, and then they kind of build out from there. So that's why the priorities is there. So I think that's kind of important. How we support the fundraising and the advertising, again, I think that's an important part of this. We get asked a lot, I think at the elementary especially, can you send this home in weekend folders? And what should we be sending home? If it's not provided by the district, how do we support it? The logo, I know, has been a question multiple times. The Wisconsin raffle license is really not a discussion. I mean, we have ours and we've renewed them. They only cover those school groups, and those groups, when they use something, are letting us know that they're doing a raffle, and we're recording it as we are supposed to, and all those types of things. So if there's some of those other groups that are doing them and they think they're covered by the district, they're not. And I don't know that they know that. So we need to make sure that that's out there. Handling of funds, whether it's our district list on the left or not, many of those organizations, if there's something, it's not going to be distinguished in the paper that it wasn't part of the school district, because the school district's name's going to be involved if there's an issue with mishandling of funds. So I think just having some transparency on that and being clear with how that money is being handled protects everybody. So I think that's pretty important to look at as well. So those are the areas I'm hearing very clearly. We need to really look at the insurance and what the requirements are, and make sure that is something that is feasible for our community organizations. Any other?
No, I think that's a good idea, David. I think that maybe what might help also, Joni mentioned, it's kind of an awareness issue. What might be good is some of the, I guess, groups that are listed here, maybe just really once we have come to some decision, or if they would like to talk to someone about this before we make a final decision, is maybe communicating with them a little bit ahead of time now so that they're aware.
Yep.
I personally am very much in favor of the logo thing, because that's our logo and that's a representation of Bangor. I'm glad we're looking at that. I do have one question though related to AAU teams. So obviously, if it's an AAU team that has students that are from Bangor, that's one thing. From an AAU perspective, if they don't have anyone on Bangor or from Bangor on that team, will we still let them use the facilities, but then they fall into the for-profit thing?
Right now, we are not letting them use it.
Okay.
This would say with a fee or a contract and scheduled on the same way that we scheduled, and it's not putting our other priorities out.
Right. Okay.
Maybe we do let them use the facility, but it's on our terms, not on first come, first serve. And then some of these other organizations can't get the time that they want.
Okay.
So it's defining it different there. But right now, the answer for a group without our students in it is no.
Okay.
Any other feedback or things that you'd like me to work on? Would you like me to continue developing this, or do we just want to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist?
Well, we need to be able to make sure we're taking care of our facilities. If we're doing all this remodeling or additions or whatever. So I think we've always talked about having something. We've never actually put anything in writing. And so maybe that's part of it, is that awareness factor. And maybe it ends up not being that $1 million, so to speak. But I think we need to get more information regarding the insurance, because I do agree. I don't know that some of these entities
Can afford it.
Or have anything or know if they have anything with the national.
Yeah.
So it may just require a little bit more research on their part, or to see what is available to them. So I definitely think that that's something we should look into.
I mean, I think that's perfect. And I think if there's any, any of the leaders of those organizations that would like to chat with me a little bit about it, I will say, have you asked, being a part of a larger organization, have you asked, do you have any coverage with them? Have you asked what it would take to get some, again, that larger organization, Cub Scouts, they've had this question before, I promise you. Mm-hmm. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, ask them, they'll say, here's the person to contact. You can do this pretty inexpensively, and your organization is better protected, and the individuals that are volunteering with your organization are better protected if you spend this couple $100 a year. So I think I would welcome those conversations, would be happy to meet with all of those, and I will reiterate once again, my intention with creating this document is not to alienate, not to tell people no, but to make sure that we are responsibly taking care of the facilities that we have, and making sure that they're going to last for our students and community for a long time. So, yeah. Any other questions? All right, with that, we'll go right to the calendar. Again, just discussion. We'll probably bring this next month for approval. We know we can't start till after September 2nd with the construction, even if we wanted to consider, because I know a lot of people really liked the early start this year, and there is some pressure in the state to allow that. And I would support that. I think we would support that. I think we liked the early start this year, but with construction, that start date is set. As we looked at this, as we looked at the calendar, I think you ran into the real quandary of a question is with the Christmas break holiday, Christmas being on Wednesday and New Year's being on Wednesday. Oftentimes that turns into a 2-week long break, just so you're not coming back on Thursday and Friday. We discussed that, and I think from an administrative standpoint, we came to the fact that a lot of our families have to go back to work and would appreciate being able to get the kids back in school. 2 days in a week on a Thursday, Friday is not a terrible thing. Kind of a give and take on that is we did add in February just a day off for everybody. That seems like a time of year that would be beneficial for that. So along with our other Fridays, just another one there in February. If you look at that, again, I tried to, you guys always sit here and count, so I tried to give you the numbers off to the right-hand side of what the quarters are per quarter, what the trimesters are, the semesters, all of those types of things are kind of broken down off to the side, how that all breaks down, and where things fall into place. The number of days is the same. I guess one of the other changes we discussed is there's been a real interest from our staff on having a work day built in, and both of the principals, myself, we can see the value in having that work day where it's not a PD day where we're keeping them in meetings. A good part of the day they get a chance to get caught up on some of the things, and looking specifically around grading time and when they're shifting gears to second semester classes or trimesters and those types of things at the elementary school. So at the elementary school, we took 2 of the PD days and split them. So it'll be a half work day, half PD day, really trying to get them some of that time. Those are near their trimester points or as close as we could get them to fall. And then for the middle school, high school, it is near the semester point. So they can spend some time kind of prepping their class for second semester, finish up any final grading things and stuff that they need to do. I will say that none of them fell perfectly. Like this is the last day of the semester and then the next day is off. Just trying to get the weeks to flow isn't perfect, but it's a shot at it. So again, similar to our last discussion, those are the thoughts that we have. I would encourage discussion on things that you'd like us to look at, and then we'll have some discussion with our staff and come back with this next month.
Maybe I missed it, but if we have exceed the number of snow days, do we have a plan?
Oh, yeah, good question.
I know, I think the last calendar, it was to add on at the end of the year. I heard some flack from teachers on that, and I don't see a plan here for that.
I don't have that laid out on there.
Do you have any built in?
There are plenty built in. So I think we're probably okay with just what is built in with our minute requirement and all of that type of stuff. The last time we put it in writing, and I think what we all would have rather done is taken away like the Monday after Easter or something like that and still get done about the same time. And because it was in writing, we went with what was in writing because that's what people had planned on. I intentionally did not put it on here for that reason, because I'd like to be able to have that flexibility if we're in that place really early that we could maybe give up that day, to get it back in there, to get caught up. So that one, if it's really, really early, we have a really terrible December or something, then maybe we look at that February date with some flexibility as well. So there's a lot built in. It would be, when we get to 4 or 5 days that we'd really start to have to worry.
Any other questions for David?
I think the other thing, and I think it's worth mentioning here, you saw a lot of schools last year, middle school, high school had virtual learning days on those days. We have not had that conversation here. And I don't think there's a huge level of this is a great idea, making sure that the kids have what they need at home, making sure our staff has what they need at home on a day that you're not sure that you're going to be missing. If it was ever the polar vortex, where you're predicting we're going to be out for 3 days straight or something like that, I think we could visit that at that point in time. But I think to kind of plan for that and say that that's in existence is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. So I'd rather just make sure we hit the minutes and put the days where we need them when we need them.
I'm not in favor of virtual.
Yeah.
I don't think the kids are either. I mean, you take away that excitement of a snow day.
We still have some that lack Wi-Fi access, and I mean, it's very uneven.
Yeah, I would say we'd be, the parents I've talked to who have been in school districts who have had that virtual day have said it's just a nightmare for the parent and it's a nightmare for the kid because they don't do it enough and they're in districts that have good Wi-Fi and everything. So I would not be in favor of that either. I just don't think it's a good learning experience. So if we can avoid it, I think. And like Lisa said, let them have the snow day.
As you guys are having that conversation, I think that's important that we have that conversation too and make sure, I feel like there's some agreement on that. So we'll make sure that we get in our time that we need and we'll do what's practical when we know what's happening versus trying to sit here and predict it now and when it's still a pretty beautiful night. So we'll go with that. I'll bring that back for next month. If there's any other things that come up, anything you see, we will run it by the teachers as well and kind of see what they're thinking. And they a lot of times have a good idea of switching this day to this. These 2 days is a no change, but we'll help them out if that makes more sense because they see things differently than the administrators for sure. So, all right.
Thank you. All right, next item, some district action agenda items. Purchase of the security camera system.
Yeah, so John's here to back me up on this one. But I think as we, the deeper you got into the remodel of the elementary school, you realized, and we didn't walk through there tonight, we've got some fairly old cameras in that building. The deeper you got into that, you realized that you were going to have to replace virtually everything in that building. When you start replacing and try to maybe keep one or two, you have to have the system that works. And our current system for viewing footage is not very good. So to add on to it doesn't make sense at all whatsoever. So we really started looking at entirely new systems. When we looked at the middle school, high school, there was more, there's more cameras that we thought, we could hold on to those a little bit longer. But then the compatibility piece with everything became an issue. So it took us a little while, but we got to the point where we just need to price an entirely new system. And as we did that, there's two options. There's a cloud-based that you pay a monthly subscription on forever, or you purchase the equipment up front. It's yours. It's yours to maintain. They do have warranties on the cameras and on the equipment and those types of things, but it's yours and you use it through its useful life period, and then you replace it again. John and I we had a lot of conversations on this. We had 5 or 6 different vendors that were that we met with and we talked with, and I think every time we met, it got more confusing. But we really did reach the point where we realized, with the capital projects right now, it's the time to do an install that we own, spend the money now, and then not have $3,000 to $4,000. And some of them were $3,000 a month. And going out for great systems, impressive systems, but probably a little bit more than what we needed. So we looked at this and we ended up comparing systems with 100 cameras to systems with 100 cameras. So we just said, we want your quote for 100 cameras, a mixture of these, about this, and we kind of compared them. Once we got selected, Access has the best pricing for that. Not only the best pricing, they play the best with our Mac. Which is an important thing in our district where we're using mostly Mac computers. They play the nicest with that. That became the solution. From there, then we sat down with the floor plans, with Access, with the principals, printed out big things, stood there and said, we need one here, we need better coverage here, we need this here. And then we went up from that 100. So added another 24 cameras from that point. That added a second hard drive from that. But I think at the end of it, Mike and Rick and I are feeling really good about our coverage inside and outside of our buildings, our entryways, all of those types of things. There'll be great coverage at the activity center as well. That's all factored into here. We'll be able to do this in conjunction with the construction. So this is the cameras, the equipment, like the hard drive, those types of things, the licensure for the software that we'll be able to access it from. It is all that. The infrastructure, the switches are separate. We're upgrading all those switches throughout the district, and all the wires to these points will be put in by the contractors during the construction work. So this company will come in and hook up the cameras at those endpoints and work directly with, but we are the ones contracting with them. So again, you'll see the final number. Again, it's a little higher than what I had on the ESSER sheet, but it's the coverage that we are looking for, and at the prices per camera and everything that we knew was going to be the best for us long term. If you remember back to that ESSER sheet, there's about $140,000 that we've had approved that will cover the first part of this, and then we'll be able to cover the rest of that out of district funds. So with John, am I missing anything? again, John and I have gotten close on the number of conversations we've had about these and phones. It was both at the same time for quite a while, but I think this is a really good place for us. We're going to have a great system that's going to have really super coverage of the entire district. So looking for approval of the contractor, the purchase of this equipment from Access Security at a cost of $162,556.36.
So was the original amount that you had in the ESSER what we thought it was going to cost just to upgrade, or where did that number come?
So it was the number before the final cameras went in at the activity center. And we looked at that floor plan, and I think there were one or two in the main hallway, that tall hallway that we walked through tonight in the addition. On the floor plans, they had planned for ceiling mount cameras, and ceiling mount cameras don't work in there. So we had to buy some different cameras that will be wall mount, because that's all that big wide open space in there. So there was a change in those two areas. So that hallway and the activity center got added on. So the number I had in the first estimate, or the first was the 140, which is what we plugged into ESSER, and then it went up a little bit as we finalized. We feel pretty confident that this is what we need to finish the project.
And we had taken this out of the true construction some time ago, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
What is the life expectancy on a security system? I'm just curious.
Around 6 years, and that's why we're replacing it now. So because cameras are starting to fail, we're getting some features like, cameras failing, picture quality and connectivity issues also going to the server. So that is why we're planning on replacing it and replacing it. It's around 6 years in my viewpoint. You start seeing these things. Plus, you don't get any more updates that you can do to the servers and to the cameras, firmware updates, stuff like that. So each typical technology type of product.
So every 6 years will be this expense. So what if you did the cloud-based ones? Do they own the equipment then, or is that?
They own it, yeah.
So ultimately, 160,000 every 6 years is what we all know it's going to go up. Well, sometimes technology goes down.
Correct, yes.
When was the last time you got security cameras?
Before me. When was the last time, John?
Last time for what? I'm sorry?
That
For
you got
cameras.
the cameras?
The last cameras that were replaced? Probably, I do believe I replaced one last year, and then the year before that too.
No, as far as the whole system.
Yeah, when did we do the last time the whole system, when you update?
Well, it's been a adding on type of system. We originally purchased for fire protection, and then we went to a place in Green Bay and added on. And so it's just been an add-on process, little by little. But the 6-year one was when we actually upgraded to all IP-based cameras, which are all like digital format instead of analog. So when we bought a new server and updated our cameras and stuff. So that's why I went by that 6-year thing.
So that's also probably why they're not playing nice, because it's a little bit here and a little bit there. And
correct, yeah.
And then
not the same, none of them are the same age.
So
we were not using Macs, all of us probably, right?
Right. Yeah.
So Macs are big.
We've had Macs for quite a while, but the biggest part is the management part. And this system here, you can manage it with Mac and Windows, so that's why it's huge, and it's web-based too. So you can use it, anywhere. So.
Right.
I think the goal, you even if the price continues to creep up, the goal here is with any of these systems is they want it we hope to be able to upgrade it. So we hope to not have to pay for the whole system at once. We don't have a system that can be upgraded right now. If we are proactive on this and we're, looking at cameras as they go bad, or, replacing the servers that still work with our current cameras, a number of the camera vendors that we worked with, their cameras were limited. That was the only software that would operate those. These particular cameras are more of the open format. So if we did change the server, they should be able to go to most other servers as well. That was a big part of our conversation with a number of the things. Yes, these on this. So hopefully it's not another full-size bite like this. It's piece at a time as we need it. We just replaced two servers in the district over 2 years. The information servers that store all of our data and everything. If we can do that and buy one server 1 year and one server the next, and just continue to upgrade on things like this in the future, that would be outstanding for us as well. But it's hard to guess what technology is going to do in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know we'll be coming back to you shortly with the iPads, that we're about to start another lease on iPads because we're up in that cycle, and those are 3 to 4 years of life expectancy. And then we look to replace them. So 6 years out of the cameras is pretty real when you look at any of those technology type systems.
If we approve the cameras tonight, when are you thinking of implementing them? Like now, or as more construction continues?
So the intention will be to get this building switched over and work on this building Thanksgiving through, right? I mean, it's kind of what we're looking at, Thanksgiving through February. And get this building shifted over to the new system. Then once this building is shifted over, everything that goes in the new addition for April will just plug and play, because the heart of that system will be here in this building. And then as they finish the work, they plug in to the new system. As they go to the activity center, they plug in, they come to the new system. So we should be able to begin work on this in November within this building.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the new camera system from Access Security at a cost of $162,556.36.
Second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lori. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, purchase of Round 1 elementary furniture.
Yeah, thank you. So I have on this document, I really think when we look at all of the furniture needs for the whole referendum project, it's realistic to think that we'll probably have 5 rounds of purchases of furniture. So this first furniture purchase is for the 10 new classrooms. It will include the student desk, chairs, teacher desk, shelves, those types of things that the teachers will need in April to finish out the last 2 months of the school year. It'll also include the whiteboards and tack boards and those types of things that will be going up as well. So getting that ordered now, we will be ready to have delivery and have that here mid-March, so that when the students go into those new rooms, they'll be able to use the new furniture. I have a not to exceed $120,000 on here because we're still working out the final numbers. I'm actually closer to like $85,000 on my calculations right now. I do think one of the pieces that Mike and I had talked about earlier, and I was thinking about today, is we may want to purchase some additional bookshelves on wheels so that we can start to put some of the stuff, some of his book storage and things onto wheels so that they can move easier, and we're not, they're going to end up on those carts on wheels. So giving us a little bit of room here, not to exceed $120,000 for this first round of purchase, would get us what we need for April. Phase 2 then will be coming back by December probably for the rest of the renovated areas within the building, the music room, the discovery lab, the special education rooms, 4K, those types of spaces, to get what they need for an August install. I do believe we will have things that once we get in the classroom that we'll see, gosh, we really could use a couple more shelves here or there. So we would have another one that we would do probably in May that would hopefully be here in August. It's not unreasonable to think that would be there, but as soon as it can be, maybe add it to that August order. The more we have advanced order, the more time they have, the more that we know we're not waiting on it. And then we will have, the furniture for the middle school, high school coming in here too. And that's probably a part of that that December order. So we have those things ordered and lined up, ready to be delivered. And then again, after that August, September time, there will be things that we need to adjust, and we'll come back one more time after school has started to get those things to have trickle in to fill in the spaces. So kind of the different steps along the way. We do have a hefty $325,000 furniture allowance just for the elementary school, with the addition of the $170,000 that we can pay for with ESSER. I don't think we're going to need to spend anywhere near that. I'm going to say that I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that when this is all done. But that is the allowance that we have for it, and this is I would say a pretty bare bones look at that first group that we need to get in, let the teachers see it, and know what we're working with going forward.
So this money that you've got allotted for ESSER could be subtracted from that 325, or conceptually it could also be added.
Correct.
Depending on where numbers lie.
Correct.
Okay.
We have some flexibility there. That's what that purchase in ESSER allowed us.
Okay.
If there aren't any more questions, I'll make a motion to approve phase 1 of furniture purchase for the elementary addition from school specialty at a cost not to exceed $120,000.
Motion made by Lisa, seconded by Lori. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Purchase for the middle high school kitchen serving counter.
Yeah, I'm just about done with my talking for tonight. The Emily Klunk, our food service director that we share with West Salem, had an opportunity for a grant come in front of her. She and I talked about it a little bit, and she went ahead and wrote the grant and received that grant. That's going to cover $44,618.80 to replace the serving counter here at the middle school, high school. So it will have hot wells, it will have cooler wells separated out, and just be updated. We definitely, that particular appliance in our cafeteria is definitely seen its better days. Original to the construction in '97. I do not anticipate the install cost of a little bit of plumbing and the electrical connections being an incredible expense. It definitely won't be over a capital expense of $5,000. We'll get that installed as soon as it's here. They will come out once this is approved and do the final measurements. It's custom made for that space. So it's not just an off-the-shelf type of item. So it'll fit in there the way it's supposed to fit in there and look great for us. So thanks to Emily for writing this and looking for approval of the new serving counter at a cost of $44,618.80.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a new serving counter for the middle school, high school cafeteria at a cost of $44,618.80.
Second.
Motion made by Kelly, seconded by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Personnel, no, none. Administrative reports. We'll start off with Mr. Chaplin.
Thanks, Julie. Informational stuff. October 1st, special education count. I'm not sure why the special ed count is at a different date than the other count, but it is. So we currently have 85 students. In the breakdown, you can see I have on there. So 85 total students with IEPs, and then also have 17 students with a 504 plan in the district. And then we have 3 students from St. Paul's getting some what's called a service plan that provides special education services as well. And then the only other update would be the Special Festers Day. Always, the elementary teachers say it's very hectic to plan, but very awesome when they get there. So there are some pictures. I think they're on page 39. You can see some of the pictures that they took. It's a great time because a lot of those kids that have some more difficult disabilities would probably not succeed very well with the bigger crowds that are there. And it's a great time because all the kids there have some needs, and there's a lot of adult support that understands those needs when they're there. And I would like to give a shout out to the carnival workers. They do a great job of working with those kids when they come. And Mike did get to go for the first time ever, so that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Chaplin? Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Julie. I will second the celebration of Special Festers. Getting down there, I got to go down one of the slides with one of my kindergarten students. That was something. Picked up a little road rash on the arm on the way down, but it was just a really cool experience for our kids. The staff, our staff, just does an amazing job down there. And the smiles on the kids' face and a number of parents that make comments about their children never really having that opportunity. And like Josh said, it's the size of the crowd there. It's pretty small. So there's not, it's not like I'm pretty positive that some of these parents have fears of taking their children on some of those opportunities when there are so many people around. So, and a lot of kids, their parents said there's no way they're going to do this. And they got there and they were just grabbing hands and going as friends, of peers, and it was very special. So thank you to the staff and Josh's leadership putting all that together. On my end, so Sarah Dahl donation to the district. Sarah Dahl contacted me a few, Enric, I believe it was both of us kind of worked on this together. Anyway, her mother had passed away, and it was a community member here, and was an educator. And as Sarah reached out to us and said she wanted to donate to a literacy cause here at school in her mom's memory. Ended up being both, I think, middle school and elementary school were able to replace some of their literacy materials, a class set of books that were, getting worn out or whatever. It was really easy working with Sarah. She does live in Chaska, Minnesota, so it was kind of interesting that way. But she just was like, yeah, just send me what they want. She ordered them off Amazon, and they're getting delivered to the district, and just a super easy way to navigate that. I appreciate her. She said her total was somewhere between $500 and $700 for the district. I don't know what the actual bill ended up being yet because I haven't seen what the orders have come in yet, and because of middle school and elementary being separate. But I appreciate what she has done, and she said she'd probably do this again in the future. So looking forward to that. In our school, testing is wrapped up, getting a clear picture of our students' needs and planning accordingly. We do a lot of that in terms of just getting your baseline information and then working collaboratively. We use multiple pieces of data to determine a student's needs. And, they do well on one assessment. They don't do as well on another assessment. They do, it's hit or miss sometimes with students and their attitudes on a given day, let's say. So that's why we try to use multiple sources. But that's one of the things that came out just on a surface level is, and I think I'm very happy about this, is we didn't have the major summer slide that I have seen in the years past. Why that is, I don't know, but just certainly kids coming in at close to the place they left. Whether it was, most of that was on our map testing, F&P, there were kids that dropped, but honestly, there were a bunch of kids that went up over the summer. So, it's that subjective kind of, the assessments we use, if a kid is on their A game that day, they're going to do great. And if they're not on their A game that day, they're going to struggle a little bit. It's just the way it is. That's why I use multiple sources. So we got that. I thought it was good information. I thought the team looking at these data pieces, are really taking on that. Who are our students with the greatest needs, and how are we addressing those students, and taking a focus and working from there. Full day of 4K appears to be paying off after 1 year of running it, I guess, and that's basically just shallow conversation with our kindergarten staff just about the number of kids that know their letters, their numbers coming into kindergarten, kids that already know their letters, that already know their numbers, already know how to write their name. I think it was the second day of school, I sat down with a kindergartner and he already had his name written on his paper, and it was a significant name. Like, it wasn't Mike. All right? So, it's like, I was like, all right, that just takes some of that pressure off and allows for other things. So I think that the decision you made to support that endeavor is we're already seeing that in our youngest learners. So thank you for that. And as we get more information, I can probably share some more detailed stuff later. We've been sharing the construction experience with our students. We've had fifth grade out on the grounds in vests and helmets and everything else. Fourth and third and second grade have all visited their different spaces, whether it was a concrete pour. I got a picture that I have to put on Facebook here, or social media, that of second grade standing in front of their newly finished floor in the wing that they're going to be in. So they were very excited. A shout out to Nicholas from Nexus, being willing to really plan these things and he thinks about opportunities that he thinks the kids might be interested in seeing. Our first graders have had a lot of concrete poured right outside their windows, and I was asked earlier about how the kids are handling the noise. I will say the compaction of the soil has been significant and loud. And that's something that we've dealt with. And, but I think now a lot of it is going to be, there's no more compaction. Thank you for that. That was significant. My office was shaking and I was on the other side of the building from it. So you can't hardly imagine what third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade are dealing with. So all of that. And then, so I appreciate on K1, I think the plan right now for K1 to get the similar experiences, once the roof is on the new building, we can give them a better image of what the new area will look like. They won't be in there for a couple years, but that's kind of what we decided to do, rather than they're looking at like fifth grade was out looking at dirt, really, and a few walls and some footings, and they were asking really great questions. So that was good, but it's just a different experience for the K1. And then K1 went to Ferguson's Apple Orchard on their annual endeavor. Lots of parents going with, and chaperones, and all of that. And yeah, I think it's just been a really good start to the school year. School's got a great buzz about it, and the kids are just doing great. So.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson?
One shout out real quick. School Board Recognition Week or Appreciation Week, and Mrs. Tauscher and her art students put together a little card for you guys. I want to say thank you for them. Thank you for all you guys do for our community and us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Mullenberg.
I would like to thank you guys as well. First thing I have is we had our Junior Achievement Day in the middle school on Monday. I would like to thank Ultra for they did their Ultra Gives Back Day. And we did it, I think 3 years ago was the last time that we did it. It was very well organized by Ultra and also by Carrie Johnson. I want to shout out to her as well. They had a lot of volunteers here. All of our staff did a great job. I had all positive reviews, so we'd like to move it up to every 2 years now. And it's definitely necessary information for students to have. As we know, there's a lot of issues with adults and financial things, so we'd like to stem that off here. And also it goes along with our personal finance things that we do in the high school. So thank you to Ultra and everything that they did and our staff on that day. Also, I just wanted to give you an update that I have started my high school student advisory committee. It's been good earlier today. We had our second meeting. Jeremiah is one of the members on there. There's four students. We have some great ideas. I took some ideas to Dr. Brock up today. We're really talking about trying to make a very cohesive school, more cohesive as a small school, and ideas how we can do that. Some of the things we're working on, more working on empathy, student to student and student to staff, staff to student, everything there. So some great ideas. I love listening to the student ideas and having their input and what they're living every day. And I also like clearing up their misconceptions because there's some of those as well. So we have some great discussions and share some pizza and things like that. But we have some ideas that we'll be bringing forward. It will probably be high school specific. We're not really talking about middle school at this time, but I'll talk to middle school staff about some of those things as well. So it's something I've wanted to do, and the nice thing is the group that I have, they had to write me an essay. So when they're there, one of the requirements is you must participate, and everybody gets the opportunity. So I have 3 different grade levels that are represented, so it's really nice to hear their voice. I get input on everything from our Cardinal time that we started this year to how it's going in the hallways, their thoughts on different classes, where we could go with some of our classes, things like that. So that's been a very valuable tool for me as well. So thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Mullenberg? Thank you. Dr. Brockup?
Yeah, they stole my thunder. I was just going to again say congratulations or thank you all as school board members for your contribution to the community. It is a time commitment. Some nights feel like they might last forever, and there's some prep and reading a little bit about what's going on and keeping up with everything. And I just appreciate the work that you guys do, and I truly enjoy working with you. And I think we're doing some really great things for the district. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of that and working right alongside you. The 2 things I have on there, COVID policy update, I just wanted to kind of, Erin came to me with a COVID-related question. She pulled up the COVID policy that we had last approved, and it was old. So things have changed a lot, obviously, in that. And the question was, how many days does somebody stay out if they test positive? And we talked through it quite a bit and felt that because not everyone is testing, nor are we requiring testing, we know that there are people that are testing positive, or that may be positive, that basically they're staying home until they're symptom free, and then when they're symptom free, they're coming back. So the fever and vomiting and those types of things, just like we would do for any other illness, and they're coming back. I don't want to penalize somebody because they took a test and make them stay out 5 years or 5 days, 5 years. Whew. It's late. 5 days because they take the test in the same breath. Really for our staffing, we just need to, when they're ready to come back, we appreciate those that will wear a mask if they know they're positive when they come back, so that we don't share it any more than we need to. But really, kind of shortening that up. We did change policy last year on this, and it was a good reminder for me. It's my responsibility to have the plan in place, so that's why it's not in there as as an action item. That's that we are working off of right now. It's there for you guys to review. If there's questions, thoughts, input that you want to put, send it my way. Looking at the policy a little bit more with Erin, I shared it with her. We'll add a couple more sections to that as just far as part of the planning that the policy lays out that we should have. That we had all kinds of planning in there. I think when I started with that document a couple weeks ago, I think it was still like 5 pages, and we got it to 1. But I probably need to make it a little bit more lengthy to talk about the actual, some of the other details the policy says that we should have planned for. So again, trying to make it more simple for everybody, get kids and staff here when they are able to be here. I know we have to address the if we had huge surges in numbers, and I think it's everybody's best interest that we do whatever we can to keep everybody here and face to face, and not putting anything in with any matrix or anything that says we would need to go to a virtual setting or anything like that. We've learned a lot, and we'll do everything we can to keep kids in school and learning, and I think it's been effective getting everybody back, so we'll keep it that way. So if there's ever any thoughts or questions on that, let me know, and I will keep you updated as we continue to update that from here on out. Last thing I had on there, Julie talked about it earlier in the meeting, just the budget hearing and annual meeting. Remember last year we did that differently for the first time, where we will do the special board meeting after that, because the board needs to approve the budget and the revenue limit worksheet. So we'll get the input from our community during the annual meeting and budget hearing, and then the board will meet right after that to vote. Angie and I will know more Monday. I'll keep you guys posted in the week or two leading up to the 25th on what numbers are looking like, and give you an idea of what we're thinking. And have that ready for the 25th as well. Any other questions for me tonight? Awesome.
Thank you. So next is removal of items from the consent agenda. Consent agenda items include current openings, which are listed, the FFA recurring overnight field trip request, which there's something in your packet, the ECCP SCN 2324 class requests, which are listed in our packet, the overnight 6th grade field trip, which we have in detailed itinerary in our packets, hire of a C-team boys basketball coach. We have some information about Mr. Jones. I think that's it.
If there's no questions or removals, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Lori, seconded by Joni to approve the consent agenda as listed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I think that's it. I ask for adjournment.
So moved.
A second.
Motion made by Joni, seconded by Lisa to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.